Well, the wedding happened this morning. He said they did it at sunrise. And it made a lot of sense to do it at sunrise. That would be a good time to do the wedding. And yet we knew that there were still chairs out there. And we figured this guy was feeding us a line of bologna. And so we went back out with the tugboat, went back out there and we sat, and the weather had changed and it got kind of choppy, and we're sitting out there, and pretty soon people start coming out in golf carts and sitting in the chairs, and we see Paul Allen and another Microsoft person that Wallace recognized come out, and they kind of check out the scene, and they look out in the ocean, and here's this tugboat with a sitting out there, and they had guards, lookouts, I don't know what you call them, but they had guys. The hillside had palm trees on it, small palm trees, not very old, but there were guys in dark suits under all these palm trees, and over there and up there and over there, and it was pretty, they had a lot of security. And we're sitting out there, and Wallace goes swimming off the boat, and we're waiting for things to get going, and this helicopter comes out and sweeps down on us and goes around the boat, and the pilot that was taking us out there looked pretty scared, and we thought maybe they your imagination thinks they might do anything. So I figured, I'm going to go out there and stand out there outside the cabin with my camera. I figured we're not being sneaky. They know we're here. They might as well know that I'm the photographer that they've been trying to run off. And we're in the Pacific Ocean, and I think we have a right to be there. At least they, And I looked off in the distance, and this big white boat's coming at us. And it's just, got a bone on its mouth, and it's just roaring at us. And I'm thinking, oh God, they're sending sending troops to get us. And the helicopter goes around us and disappears. And this boat keeps coming. It was aiming right at us. And I'm thinking, oh Jesus, they're going to board us, and I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they'll park their boat in front of us so that we can't photograph past it. I had all kinds of thoughts going through your head. And this great big boat comes at us, and he speeds right past us and keeps on going. And it was a dive tour going out to some place to dive, and there was no one. They weren't interested. They didn't care about us at all. And so we sat out there, and pretty soon Reverend Hunhausen, he came out, and there was Bill and his bride-to-be, and there was this lady. I've always wondered who the lady in green was, but I assumed she was singing. It was hard to tell, but we could hear when they clapped. We could hear them clapping, and I figured that the pilot would start up his diesel motors and run us back, and then the tide would carry us and run us back, and the tide would, and I figured that every time he started up that diesel engine, they knew we were there. But they got married, and I shot with a 500 millimeter lens, and sitting there with the boat going like this in the rocky water, and and got a nice picture of them on the bluff at the Gulf on the green getting married, and I was pretty happy. I was real happy. So we went back to the harbor, and it turns out that neither one of us had $400. We didn't have any. I think between us we had $125. So James says he's going to go get money out of the cash machine. So the skipper, we go back to Maui, to Lahaina, and the skipper holds me ransom while Wallace goes gets money. And we go to bars. It was a tough ransom. We went to a couple bars, and then we went to a restaurant and had dinner. And there was no lockup or anything like that. But finally Wallace apparently had a friend staying in a hotel up the road, and he borrowed the cash from her, and we had enough money to pay off the skipper, and we went back to town and found a place to get the film processed, and we had a drum scanner, and I got a couple small prints made, and we transmitted them to the PI, and we got a really lukewarm response from the desk, you know, and they I thought, geez, okay. And apparently the Seattle Times had run a story, page 1, saying that all journalists were run off the island and nobody had photos or anything, and that was it. And so for Monday's paper, we were going to have this picture of Bill Gates getting married, and we were pretty happy. And the Dixie Lee Ray, the former governor of the state, died on that Sunday. And so the big story was Dixie Lee. And our story of Bill Gates' wedding had lost its importance. And they now wanted us to somehow contact Dan Evans, who was at the wedding, also a former governor, and get a quote from him on Dixie's passing. And so we looked like we thought we had this great scoop, and we were going to be on page 1, and it was going to be cool, and it turned out that, you know, it was overrode by the former governor dying.
What did you do after the wedding of Bill Gates?
Well,
what did you and James do?
We processed the pictures and got that all out. And we were not going to. Our flight was going to be Monday afternoon, late Monday. It was like a 6 o'clock flight out of there, and we had the whole day. And so we went up onto the volcano, and coming down from the volcano, I had run into this guy who had a Harley Davidson, and I asked him if I could take his picture, and he was a German, and a German accent, and he said he had rented it. And so we were trying to figure out what to do, and Wallace wanted to go whale watching. And I've been on a lot of whale watching trips, and I've never been on one where we got anywhere close to the ones you see in the photographs.